Hello everyone and welcome. I'm VelvettB and thanks for joining me today. Today we are going to talk about building cheats. So these are the things that I use in the game to build with and create, fabulous little builds in The Sims 4. So first up, we are going to talk about how to activate cheats. First things first, this is for Windows. So I don't know how to use Mac, I'm really sorry. And console, it will be obviously a little bit different as well, but the commands themselves should be the same. It'll just be a little bit different for the Mac menu and the console menu, but the commands, I believe, are still the same for all platforms. So to bring up your cheat menu in Windows, Control Shift and C. Next, you're going to enter testing, cheats, space, and true. So that activates your menu ready for any cheats that you want to enter. So you only need to do this process once if you're going to enter a whole lot of cheats, but every time that you log in, you will need to restart the cheats menu. So to deactivate cheats, if you don't want to have cheats on anymore, it's testing, cheats, same again as what we did the first time, except now we're going to do space and false. So you use true and false for on and off, basically. So cheats are now disabled. So it will tell you when they are on and off. Okay, so we are going to enable that now again. So testing cheats true, and our cheats are enabled. We are ready to go to enter our cheats, ready for building. Okay, let's take a look at the first cheat. So we're going to open up the cheat menu, Control Shift and C. Now I've already got the cheats ready and activated, so I've entered testing cheats true. So now I'm going to enter my first building cheat, which is bb.moveObjects space on. So you will get a notification that says move objects cheat is on if you've entered that correctly. Control Shift and C, and that will exit you out of that cheats menu. Let's take a look at what this particular cheat does. So I'm going to turn it back off and I'm going to show you what how it looks without it, and then I will show you what it looks like with. So Control Shift C, bb.moveObjects off, and that turns it off. By the way, if you want to turn it off, that's how you do it. So Control Shift C, let's exit out of there. So when we're building without any cheats, what's happening is that your building is attached to a grid. So if we want to turn the grid on, it's G. You can turn that off again with G as well. I prefer to build without a grid, but each to their own on that one. But you can sort of see the grid there. So in each of the items in The Sims 4 actually has a grid around it. So this is the space that this item needs to be able to be placed. So without any cheats, it needs to have that space. There's no if buts around that. It won't be placed without having the space that it needs. The reason that this is coming up red is because this item here is actually impinging on this item's space, because I used move objects when I was building this house. So I've got items closer over the grid than they should be when there are no cheats on. So this is why when you see a lot of builds on the gallery, they say put move objects on before you place the build, because when you are using move objects, you can ignore the grid, basically. So with move objects off, you can't ignore the grid, you have to place to the grid. So let's turn the cheat on. So bb.moveObjects on. Control Shift C to close that. So now we can actually combine items, we can do all sorts of things because we don't have to adhere to the grid anymore. So that's the marvel of the bb.moveObjects on. It gives you a lot more flexibility when you are building. If you'd like to smoothly move items around the grid, because you'll see it's a little bit jittery, it kind of has like little sticking points on the grid still when I'm just moving it around freely with the mouse. But if I hold down Alt, you can see that there, it's a lot smoother. So hold down Alt when you're placing items, that'll give you a lot more freedom to place it as you please. So that is bb.moveObjects on in a nutshell. The next cheats we are going to talk about are the debug cheats. So there are actually two of these cheats that bring up different items that are hidden within the Sims 4 building menu. So there is Let's bring up the cheat bar, Control Shift and C. So the first cheat we're going to look at is bb.show hidden objects. Now this will not, after we push enter, it will not come up with a notification to say that it is activated. So Control Shift C. So the hidden items are in the game are things that can be created as some debug items as well. Generally, you would have both. If you wanted to use the debug menu, you would want to probably have both of these cheats activated because it gives you the full range. So debug items are items that are made in the game by the Sims that isn't accessible by the build menu, and also items that the Sims team use to build their worlds. So, you know, things like the rocks, the trees that might not be available in the regular Sims 4 menu. It could be little items, fences, cars, all of those sorts of things. So these are the items that you find in the debug menu. Some of them will have costs. So generally the hidden items will have costs and the live edit options will not. But it is, as I said, a little bit jumbled. So some will have costs, some won't. So we are currently in the in the show hidden objects menu. To access these items, type in the word debug and select any of the debug words down here. Do not select that one, that won't help you. And also don't select under content debug items here either. That won't particularly help you either. It won't bring up a lot of the items that you're trying to find. So in this instance, it's a pretty limited selection. There is a lot more than this, trust me. So this is sort of the debug items that come up under this menu. But if we go into debug here, you actually get a lot more items. So see, heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps. So these are the show hidden objects items. So some of these things are things that we've created or are used to create things. So like your sauce pots, your nectar blends, the elevators, food items, books, basketballs, party place settings, all that sort of things. So if you want to turn that off, Control Shift C and bb.show hidden objects, and you just type false, enter, and that will disappear. So you can't see that there anymore. And if you type in debug, it don't come up. So that's how you turn that off. So now let's have a look at bb.show live edit objects. Once again, there will not be a notification to say that that is active. Control Shift C to enter out of that menu. So the same process applies to this one as well. I always use these two cheats together. So the bb show hidden objects and bb show live edit objects. If I'm going to be using debug, I'll have both on because then I've got all of my options available to me. But I'm just showing you them separately. So you'll see here like a slightly shorter menu, but I'll select one of these. And this is free items. So these are kind of more of your landscaping items, the world around you kind of items. So that is the live edit option. And you can view the start of this menu. So if you scroll to the top, you have your regular build items, right? So we're going to scroll down. When you start to hit like the doors, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then just after the doors, you'll start in the windows, you'll find the balconies. So this is the end here, balcony, and then this is the first debug item. So if that makes it easier to find where the debug items are, scroll down to the bottom of the balconies and that's where debug items start. So these are the 0 value items. So as I mentioned, if you put a seed in there, that's not going to be usable. That's purely decorative. So use these items for decoration, not for function. So you've got things like your cars, your buildings, plants, fences, all sorts of fabulous things for building around the world. So this is the live edit objects. Lights actually will sometimes function, so just be aware of that. You might actually get some light from that. See, I've got a little bit of light. So if you want some free lighting, then that is an option. Be aware of things like graves. Don't put those in. They may get stuck on your lot and you won't be able to delete them. So there is a couple of items which are a bit risky. Things like gravestones, definitely stay away from. So again, just to turn that off, Control Shift C, bb.show live edit objects space false. And then that disappears. And that is your debug cheats. So So the next cheat that we're going to look at actually activates a few items in your build menu that you might not usually be able to touch. So you'll see these items here, and they have like the little grey and white swirl around them, and these are locked items. So you can actually unlock those with a particular cheat. So once again, we have already activated testing cheats. Space true, our cheats are ready to go. So we're going to bring up our cheats menu, Control Shift C, and we're going to enter bb.ignore game play unlocks, this is a long one, entitlement. So it is a very long one. It's ignore gameplay unlocks entitlement, all one word. Push enter, and you actually get a notification with this one. So ignore gameplay unlocks cheat is on. So that means any of these locked items, there's not a whole heap of them, but it tends to come with like the early packs, but these items will now become available for you to build with, and it actually is quite cool to be able to use some of these things. Yeah, so these are items that have been locked by career. So these are things that you would not ordinarily be able to build with unless you've gone through the career. So this is like, you know, a cool way to unlock things that you might not be able to build with or access. So there's like things like, there's actually quite a lot in Get to Work and base game. Those are the main things that have it. So, you know, you've got your different chairs there via a whole lot of careers, which is quite cool. And getting some different items, which I absolutely love. So yeah, have fun with that one. It's actually a lot of fun to build with these items, and when you add them to the build, they are available on the gallery even if someone hasn't used the cheat to unlock the items. And then just to turn that off, you just type in bb.ignore game play unlocks entitlement at space and false. It's such a long one, and then that'll turn that off just like that. Control Shift and C. So then my next build cheat is one that you probably haven't really thought about, but it is a really actually handy cheat. So this is about the seasons. So you can actually change the seasons in the game. So if you want to build like an autumn build or a wintry build, and it turns out you're in the middle of summer, well, this is very handy. Or you're building, you have your Sims in the game and it's the middle of winter and you want to build, you can't see what's happening with the roof because of the snow, then you can turn it off temporarily and change it to summer. Or hey, it might be for pictures as well. So you might be taking pictures of your build and want to have like, you know, nice summery weather or something. You can do this in live mode or in build by mode. It doesn't really matter which, but you can actually see in live mode what's happening with the weather a little bit easier. So as you can see here, we've got middle of summer, day 5, and it is apparently sunny as well. So we're just going to change this to winter. So testing cheats true has already been activated. So let's go into our cheats menu, Control Shift C, and we type in seasons dot set underscore season. Now this is where you need to know which season applies to which number. So 0 is summer, 1 is fall, 2 is winter, and 3 is spring. So if we type in 2, we are now in winter. Isn't that amazing? So like if we like played forward, maybe we're going to get some snow coming because we are in the middle of winter. It does affect obviously your plants, what color they are. So, you know, if you are building in winter, changing it back to summer might be really useful for taking pictures. But as I said, you can use it for if there's like a lot of snow on the ground, you can't see what you're doing, you can change that to summer temporarily and you can change it back to whatever season you like. So if we go to seasons dot set underscore season and we change this to 3. So now we're in spring. Seasons dot set underscore season and space 1. We are now in fall, so we can do our fall kind of builds nice and pretty, or we can go back to summer, which is seasons dot set underscore season space 0. And just like that, we are back to where we started from, back in summer. So this is a very useful little trick if you find yourself in the middle of winter or with weather that you really with, well, I guess, a season that you really don't like, then you can change that for your building situation. So that wraps up our little tip tutorial on different building cheats that you can use in The Sims 4. I hope that's been of help. And don't forget to check out my other tips, tricks, and cheats. And there's a whole playlist on them, lots of different things. You never know what you find in there. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.